for Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're here with the lizard men, going to be facing up against the goat people, so definitely in for some anthropomorphic animal battles here. Well, we're in for a good time. Let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. For my army, I am led by a Saurus Oldblood, so this is kind of the generic version of Krokgar. He's up on a Carnosaur as well. He's got a lot of good abilities, still anti-large armor piercing, a lot to like about this guy. In addition, he also has this item here, the Amulet of Itzel, which is a one-time use, 66% damage resistance, which is a huge ward save. It lasts 21 seconds, again, only one-time use, so you do have to use it at the right moment in the battle, but still a potentially very, very powerful ability. In addition, we've also got the Revification Crystal, of course. Front line is 4 Saurus Warriors with the Skink Cohort in the center. We've also got 2 Skink Cohort with Javelins on each flank for a total of 4. We've got a Skink Priest, Laura Beast, chilling on his Terradon up here. He's carrying Amber Spear as well as Flock of Doom for some nice damage dealing potential. We've got 2 Chameleon Skinks here, and this heavy Terradon squad. So we do have a Skink Chief leading the way with 2 units of Terradon Riders. These guys have poison missiles, can do quite a bit of damage, and of course, since they're up in the air, the Beastmen can't really catch them in melee. The only unit that the Beastmen have that can really counter these guys well is Ungor Raiders to shoot them out of the sky. You know, if you bring Harpies, they're not going to be able to catch these guys, you know, between the fast speed and the poison and everything. They can just kite away, shoot the Harpies down out of the sky. So, very good stuff. Very heavy missile build for myself, so let's see how it works out. I am indeed facing up against the one and only Pharaoh Owar. So this is one of the matches we fought in our Best of 5 series. He's going to be playing as the Beastman here, so let's take a look at his army. Morgar the Shadowgave leads the army, of course. Chaos Spawn summons, all the good stuff. His front line is 4 Best-Gore Herd. He's got 2 Ungor Spearman Herd on this flank and another here, with another Gore Herd with shield just to fill out some extra numbers. In addition, he's also got 2 Minotaurs with great weapons. These guys are MVPs in this particular matchup. They're a little bit vulnerable to missile fire since they only have 35 armor. However, they can do a ton of anti-large armor-piercing missile melee damage, rather. And yeah, just a lot to like about these guys. I really like them in this particular matchup. So, he's also got the unit of Warhounds, Centaurs with throwing axes, which again, very good here. Armor-piercing missiles are going to be great against the dinos. And that's about it, so let's go ahead and kick things into full gear and watch what happens. So, my first order of business is going to be to pull around with my Terradon Riders and immediately start firing in Poison Javelins into the Minotaurs with great weapons. And I'm just going to have to keep them focused on these Minotaurs the entire battle. We're also screening here with these Chameleon Skinks, doing some nice damage. Potentially going to be getting charged by the Poison Warhounds here, but it looks like they're just going to bypass on the side. So we'll kind of use the Chameleon Skinks to zone out this area here. Meanwhile, in the main line engagement, you can see Beastman forces charging all the way across the way. We got the MLG Skink cohorts here firing away at these Ungor Spear Herd, and they're going to take a ton of damage and be routed off very, very quickly. We're also got Gore Herds going to be charging up against Saurus Warriors. The Saurus Warriors should win there. These Skink cohorts are getting annihilated by the best score in the center, but being supported by the Revification Crystal should be able to do some damage there. Again, we're going to break the charge with the Saurus Oldblood, then counter-charge with the Saurus Warriors. These Skink cohorts with Javelins did get some nice Javelin throws on the Minotaurs, now chucking into these Best-Gore Herd that are charging him in the face. The Best-Gore Herd will, of course, win this battle, but, you know, unloading these little poison Javelins beforehand definitely can do some good damage. In the main line engagement, we've got the Terradon Riders just on station, going to be throwing their axes in. We have popped the Amulet of Itzel because, you know, Pharaoh jumped in here with all these Saurus Warriors with great weapons, so we popped the Amulet of Itzel and pulled away. Pharaoh did a good job of summoning up some Chaos Spawn here as well to try and pin me back in, so you can see immediately Walmart Krokgar gets distracted here. But, you know, just holding up this entire pocket is allowing you know, my Terradon Riders to just continuously fire in, and they should be able to do a lot of damage here before we can get too much damage in return. Meanwhile, over on this flank, we are somewhat winning out. Saurus Warriors should be able to beat Gore Herds. We've got another Saurus and 2 Skink cohorts coming around to help. We are losing this engagement here, obviously, with the Devolve now routing off these 2 Skink cohorts, and we're the Best-Gore Herd going to be breaking through. Skink cohorts actually did a surprising amount of damage, though, in that engagement. The Walmart Krokgar is going to have to tuck and run now. The center pocket is collapsing, so only the Revification Crystal is left, and it's taking an absolute beating right now, tanking out a ton of damage, but it is allowing all my javelins to get in here and kind of start chucking on these minotaurs with great weapons. Another chaos spawn summoned up over here on a very tattered unit of Saurus, I believe. So tough stuff for me. They're going to be inundating these skink cohorts here. Beautiful Flock of Doom from the Skink Priest Lore of Beast, going to be tearing away the hit points of all these Bestigor Herd. We've just been dropping those Flocks of Doom and the Amber Spears just to try and do as much damage as possible with this guy up in the air. So now we're going to have to tuck and run a little bit, just charging into different targets and then immediately pulling through, because these Minotaurs with great weapons, of course, can do a ton of damage to my Saurus Old Blood here. So we're going to kind of run up and around this way and try and get back towards these chameleon skinks to let them screen out here. Right now they're doing a great job firing in, doing a ton of damage to these Minotaurs with great weapons. We've been able to work them down almost all the way, with 10 unit models here and rapidly dropping down to 9. We've got 9 unit models here as well. Nice Brace Scream going to be going off, doing some good damage to the chameleon skinks. Personally, I like the Vile Tide a little bit better for the fighting skinks, but bombs being dropped there on the Bestigor Herd, doing some nice damage, but Saurus Warriors being routed off. We do still have this pocket of infantry here that's fighting, and, you know, doing fairly well for itself, but for the most part, my infantry line is completely collapsed. The Revivification Crystal is getting routed off currently, which is rough stuff, but we do still have plenty of health on the Saurus Old Blood for the moment. These skinks, unfortunately, are having to be sacrificed here just to hold up this entire pocket in melee, so we can continue to fire in with the Terradon Riders and just try and rout off these Minotaurs. They're so low right now. So we've got Walmart Krokar here beating up on Morker, but we are going to have to pull away. Clean miss with that Amber Spear there, but these Minotaurs with great weapons are getting very low on leadership and health, so only a few more volleys from the Terradon Riders should be able to finish them off, and then, you know, my Walmart Krokar should be relatively safe to just kind of cycle charge around, charge into different targets. You can see I am a little bit behind on the balance of power right now, though. You know, my infantry line is definitely collapsed. We don't really have a whole lot left. Just the Terradon Riders and my general mostly at this point. Some chameleon skinks still fighting out over on this side, but the Ungor Spearman Herd doing very well fending them off. So, just continuing to fire in over here. We're now, at this point, trying to pick off this Brace Shaman Lore of Wild, I believe, because we did rout off those Minotaurs. They may come back from routing, but even still, they're so low at this point that we should be able to finish them off. So just doing, you know, whatever armor-piercing missile damage we can, just continuing to tie down with skinks. And, you know, we do have some forces rallying over on this side, so we'll start bringing them back in here. We've got some Saurus Warriors that should be able to intercept these Bestigor Herd here. A few Poison Javelins will rout off those Centaurs with throwing axes. Another beautiful Flock of Doom catching a whole bunch of these Bestigor here. And the Brace Shaman Lore of Wild. Now that we're out of ammo on a lot of these Terradon Riders, we are going to have to bring them down into melee. And although they don't have great combat stats, they do have 65 weapon strength, which is, you know, a decent amount. So they'll be able to make okay contact against these Bestigor Herd. So over here on this side, you can see Minotaurs with great weapons did come back from routing, but only one unit model now after getting another killed by the Saurus Old Blood here. Now he's going to be beating up Morker. The Revivification Crystal did also come back from routing, so we should be able to get, you know, the Saurus Old Blood all healed up to his healing cap. Another Flock of Doom going down, just tearing away the hit points of all these Bestigor Herd, who are getting very low now. Balance of power has come back to even, so good stuff for me. We're just trying to pick away at this Brace Shaman Lore of Wild here still, and the Saurus Warriors combined with the Terradon Riders here are actually kind of winning out up against the Bestigor Herd. They're at least able to do enough leadership damage that they're able to rout a few of these units of Bestigor Herd, so good stuff for me. Centaurs with throwing axes did come back on station, but they don't really have enough unit models to do a whole lot of damage at this point. Fortunately, the Bastiladon with the Revivification Crystal is a little bit too slow to be able to pull away from this fight. We do have some Saurus that are enraged that came back to help, but, you know, they're not long for this world. Thankfully, Saurus Old Blood here is still relatively healthy, still getting some good healing, so, you know, he's going to be running around doing some great damage, potentially terror routing off a lot of these units. This Brace Shaman just continuing to get lower and lower as the Skink Chief kind of picks away at him. Another great devolve here, but he is wavering at this point, so we're getting a Flock of Doom as well, so both spells kind of going off at the same time, one on one side, one on the other. Those Bestigor have been routed off at only 10 unit models. There's 33 unit models there for that Bestigor. The Ungor Spearman Herd actually routing off the Revivification Crystal, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we are going to get a charge now into these Centaurs with throwing axes and finish them off with the Terradon Riders here. The Saurus Oldblood is actually getting beat by Morker and this squad of Ungor Spearman herd and the Bestigor herd. The armor piercing, the anti-large, and the poison from Morker is actually making it really hard for me to kill him with this Saurus Oldblood here. Popping a cold-blooded just to continue to heal him back up. That'll probably put him up to his healing cap. But Centaurs with throwing axes have been shattered. Over on this side, you can see we've dealt with most of the infantry. Actually, some Bestigor coming back from routing over here. But the Skink Chief is almost finished off this Bray Shaman here. He's running across the field for his life, trying to get away. But unfortunately, the Terradon Rider is a little bit too fast for him. And one or two more Javelins should finish this guy off. So down he goes. Bray Shaman's down, and the Skink Chief adds another kill to his collection total. Very, very good stuff. The Skink Chiefs honestly could use a little bit of a nerf. 100 ammo is a little bit ridiculous, but, you know, they can dish out a ton of damage. We've brought down the Terradons over here just to kind of, you know, circle beat on these Bestigor and try and break their leadership. We're bringing Walmart Krokgar back around now after using a final cold-blooded to get him up to his healing cap. He has got no more healing left to do, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful. But he does have Morker in his sights. The issue with Morker is he's super tanky, he has that regeneration, and he just gets knocked around a whole lot. So it's actually going to be hard for monstrous units to kill him if they don't have flaming damage. Like, you know, Carnosaurs, for example. They're not going to have the easiest time finishing off Morker. You can see he's actually doing quite a bit of damage in return to the Saurus Oldblood, so I am going to have to be careful not to lose him. We're just, again, just picking away at these Ungor Spearman herd. They're actually getting terrified. Bestigor herd as well, just continuing to come back from routing. We've got some Saurus Warriors with shields going to be taking care of these Ungor Spearman herd over on this side here. And yeah, it's a very, very tight, heated engagement at this point. And really all I've got left is, you know, the Saurus Oldblood as well as my Terradon Riders here. These Saurus Warriors actually getting routed off just because their leadership's so low against the Ungor Spearman herd. They were able to kill quite a few of them, but, you know, it's just not meant to be. These guys are going to keep routing off and coming back from routing. We're ahead on the balance of power at this point, but as you can see, there's still 5 minutes of battle left here, and Morker's just kind of getting tossed around. We've got the Skink Chief trying to use up the last of his ammo, just poking away at these regrouped Bestigor herd before they come back in the fight. He is going to be able to pick off quite a few unit models with how low these guys are. Each shot should pick off at least one unit model there, so he is going to be taking them down rather efficiently. We've got the Saurus Oldblood still just fighting up against Morker, and you can see he's chucking Morker around quite a bit, but Morker's been able to do a surprising amount of damage. Saurus Oldblood's down to about 30% of his HP left, so rough stuff. We're going to just get charges in here to try and immediately terrify away the Bestigor herd. We do terrify this one group, however the other group does not get terrified, unfortunately, so Skink Priest is just saying off those Ungor Spearman herd on the side. We're going to be bringing around this last group of Terradon Riders as well. To try and, you know, help fend off these last groups of tattered infantry here. Bestigor herd finally getting terror-routed off again. We do have a couple of regrouped units of Skinks as well. So let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this endgame here as, you know, we just kind of cycle charge Morker a whole bunch. And yeah, Bestigor herd just not able to hold up their leadership even against Skink cohorts, so they should be able to chase them off here. And yeah, Skink Priest is almost out of ammo. He's got about 8 shots left, so going to have to use them wisely here. But, yeah, Ungor Spearman herd continuing to rally, and you can see how low my Saurus Oldblood has gotten. Morker's been able to get him down to about 10% HP, and I was really worried. You can see the balance of powers come back to even. If I lose my Saurus Oldblood, I'll probably lose the battle here. We've finished off that Ungor Spear herd. Now going to be just trying to surround Morker with the Terradon Riders and break his leadership while we get the Saurus Oldblood to charge here into these Bestigor herds. So he's going to be able to do some armor-piercing damage and potentially tear out them away. You can see one of the missiles from the Skink Chief actually picking off a unit model there as well. Another unit model going down to the Skink Chief, and they are shattered. So all we have left now is Morker. So we're going to surround him with the Terradon Riders, and, you know, despite Morker's tankiness, he's not going to be able to hold his leadership together, getting circle beaten by all these Terradon Riders here. So rough day for Morker that Shadow gave. And it was a great, great battle. One of the closest battles I've fought in Total War Warhammer 2, so very well played to Pharaoh Owar. Thank you very much for playing that Best of 5. This was one of the battles in Turin's Best of 5 stream that we played, so I thought I'd give you guys my perspective and kind of share this build with you. It is a very powerful anti-Beastman build. All the poison missiles are just brutal against the low armor targets of the Beastmen, so it definitely works out in the Lizardmen's favor. Let's go ahead and take a look at the army composition. Once again, very well played to Pharaoh Owar. In terms of the army breakdown here, skink cohorts with javelins, absolute MLGs. You know, they did a ton of damage to the Minotaurs, dealt with the unit of Ungor Spearman Herd very easily. Saurus Warriors, you know, one of them, it didn't get a whole lot of kills, but across the line for the others, decent amount of kills, 73 and 78. It's definitely decent. Only 35 here is not great, but, you know, the Terradon Riders getting a lot of work done as well against the Minotaurs with the Skink Chief. These guys are absolutely clutch. Saurus Oldblood getting 65 kills himself. Mostly he was running around, running away from the Minotaurs the whole battle. But, you know, it was alright. He ended up healing up to his healing cap and just kind of being a meat sponge there to soak up damage, while the Terradon Riders and the Chameleon Skinks and, you know, the Skink cohorts with javelins really did the damage. Flock of Doom as well, and the Amber Spear from the Skink Priest Lord Beast was able to help tear away those Bestigor herd in the late game there. And for, you know, that's about it for Pharaoh's army. These Bestigor herd all racked up a ton of kills against my infantry, just mopped the floor with the Saurus and the Skinks and everyone else. There's really, you know, even Temple Guard can't really stand up to Bestigor herd, so I really like that pick here. Minotaurs with Grappins, also a decent pick, but again, they're very vulnerable to missiles. I think I kind of showcased that here. But one of them picking up a Chevron with the damage it was able to do with the Saurus Oldblood, and the Revivification Crystal did get some decent value there, but, you know, it's a tough matchup, I would say. The Beastmen are very, very good, but this is probably one of the tougher matchups for them in the game right now. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this battle. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I keep it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.